On this special post-show edition of the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, we are going to discuss all things NXT TakeOver 36 in all of its glory. The bomb drops now. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to this very special episode of the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, the post-show of NXT TakeOver 36. I am your man, the Indy Darling himself, Andy York. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us as we're going to talk about this card all together. We have a match of the year candidate that we're going to jump into. We also have some pretty underwhelming stuff that we're going to talk about, unfortunately. But overall, we're going to give our thoughts on the show. I am flying solo by myself for this podcast because Chris and Jared are coming back from Las Vegas and they are a little jet lagged and a little tired. So they have the night off. So it's just going to be me going solo for the next 30 minutes or so. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining me on this journey. But before we jump into NXT TakeOver 36, first off, if you are brand new to the podcast, welcome to our Pipe Bomb family. We really appreciate you tuning in and listening to us each and every week. We really appreciate it. If you are not following us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, make sure you do that at PBW Podcast. PBW Podcast. Make sure you follow us there, as well as going over to sportswire.com. That is our official partner that we run our show through. They run our new episodes every Monday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But they run our show all day long, every day there as well. So go check them out. They definitely go check out their review with Chris and Jared right after SummerSlam. You can still hear the screaming and yelling in their voice post SummerSlam. So go check that out. It was an amazing episode. A lot of great discussion, a lot of things that we're probably going to talk about in the next few weeks to come as well. So go check them out there as well. If you are new to me as well, I host my own show, The Shandy Show, which I will flash up here. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at The Shandy Show or on my personal Twitter account I'm stroking here, at Andy York. We really appreciate you tuning in and listening to us there. If you're all things Marvel and DC, if you're into those things, definitely go check us out. But enough rambling, enough going on. Let's jump into NXT TakeOver 36. Overall, I thought it was going to be a pretty stacked show. The card top to bottom seemed pretty legit, seemed pretty jam-packed. So we're going to jump in from the very beginning. I'm going to run down each match, kind of give quick thoughts. We're going to spend some time in some other places as well, but we are going to jump into this right now. So the first match that started off was for the $1 Million Championship. That's right. It was Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight, with the stipulation that if Cameron Grimes won, he would no longer be the butler for LA Knight. He would also win the $1 Million Championship. But if Cameron Grimes lost, Ted DiBiase himself would become LA Knight's personal butler. The match was really good. It's nothing less than their other matches. It was a lot of fun. A really great back and forth. LA Knight is really good in the ring. I think obviously his character is really outlandish and everything, and people kind of forget that he's really good in the ring. Same thing with Cameron Grimes. Both these guys are really talented inside the squared circle. So it was a great match, top to bottom. A lot of back and forth moments here. Ted DiBiase getting involved and laying out LA Knight, which allowed for Cameron Grimes to pick up the win and pick up the $1 Million Championship from LA Knight in a really great match. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do now with Cameron Grimes as the $1 Million Champion. I know on NXT this Tuesday we're getting a $1 Million celebration. Cameron Grimes mentioned that tonight as well during an post interview as well. So we're going to get a massive party. So we are very excited about that. It's a lot of fun. It was a great match. Definitely go check that out. Next up, we had Raquel Gonzalez versus Dakota Kai for the NXT Women's Championship. This is a match that was really intriguing to me, and I think really intriguing to a lot of us. We talked about it last week on the podcast. That this match may be a little underrated. I've been on record to be probably one of the bigger supporters for Raquel Gonzalez. I don't think her title run has been perfect. I don't think it's even been great. I don't think it's been as bad as a lot of people have said. To me personally, I think this was her best defense of the NXT Women's Championship against Dakota Kai, which a lot of the credit goes to Dakota Kai. She did a fantastic job of making sure that Raquel Gonzalez felt over. She sold a lot of her big moves. She sold a lot of the atmosphere of the crowd. It was a really great match. Really hard hitting back and forth. I was actually surprised how hard hitting this match was. And that's kind of the theme of the night. Like, everybody kind of didn't pull their shots tonight. It was a lot of Stiff work, stiff matches, which we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But overall, this match was really good. Honestly, there was a chance I thought that Dakota Kai was going to pick up the win here, but I actually think she's more likely main roster bound at this point, especially since she's been on main event a couple times and done a couple other things. She's been backstage a few times as well the last couple weeks. So I fully expect her to show up on the main roster here pretty soon. Raquel Gonzalez, though, she's not going to be left with no other challengers because a debuting Kaylee Ray from NXT UK, who was a dominant NXT UK Women's Champion for a long time, made her debut in NXT tonight. She actually showed up on NXT, so it looks like she's making the jump across. She's probably not the only one from NXT UK that's going to make that jump across. I think it's really great for the women's division that they get Kaylee Ray. She is a really great competitor. She's really great in the ring. She's a really good face, so she can also be a really good heel. A lot of interesting dynamic between her and Raquel, I'm sure. I think this may be the person that takes the belt off of Raquel Gonzalez, and she can run with it for a little while as well. So this is going to be a really fun feud. I think that we're going to be building up towards the next takeover, maybe even happen on NXT taping. But it was overall the match itself was really good, and then the Kaylee Ray debuting kind of bumped it up a notch for me as well. So both of those top two matches, the first two matches were really great, but what came next after this was just absolutely brilliance through and through. We had Walter defending the NXT UK Championship against Ilya Dragunov in a belter of a match. It was absolutely stiff and brutal, and I mean, if you haven't seen the pictures yet, I'm sure you'll see the pictures of Dragunov's chest and neck. It was purple with like blood blisters from how hard Walter was hitting him. He already had that nasty cut he got from NXT last week against Roderick Strong, and so he looked like a madman in the ring. Both those guys were not throwing their punches; they were hitting hard moves left and right. It was brutal to watch. Sometimes it was hard to watch, not in a bad way. It was just how stiff it was, how stiff both guys were working. We talked about this on the podcast last week. I thought this might be the match that steals NXT TakeOver 36. To me, this match stole SummerSlam weekend. I know Edge and Seth Rollins, I'm sure Chris is going to give me some flack for this, but Edge and Seth Rollins was a barn burner of a match. It was a great match. To me, though, this match edged it and beat it out. No pun intended. No pun intended. This match beat it out for me, though, because it was so stiff and brutal. Both guys were throwing all their big moves and kicking out of the other guy's big moves, and it was going back and forth. At one point, Dragunov hit his finishing move. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a running, flying headbutt. And he landed it flush with Walter's face, pinned him 1-2 and kick out. That got a big reaction. And then Walter hit his power bomb that he uses to finish people off normally. Covered him 1-2 kick out. Walter got mad, hit him with another power bomb, went to the top rope, hit a massive frog splash off of the top rope, or a massive splash off of the top rope under Dragunov, and who kicked out at 2.999. It was a great false finish there. Everyone thought that match was over. They kind of go back and forth. He hits him with a few more headbutts, but surprisingly, Dragunov puts Walter in a chokehold and just starts rearing back on his neck. And within like 5 seconds, Walter taps out, and we have a new NXT UK champion. Walter loses his NXT UK championship 870 days into his reign, so almost a 1,000-day reign. I think it would have been nice if they would have hit that 1,000-day mark, but it was absolutely the right call, the right decision to pull the trigger here, have Walter lose the championship, because it was a great match going back and forth. And, Dragunov really earned the respect of everybody, really earned Kevin Owens actually tweeted out, I think, the best. He said a lot of people have championships in WWE, but he is the only one that earned his championship because he earned it in a fist fight tonight. And so that was definitely match of the night, match of the year so far in WWE. I think it might be match of the year in any promotion at this point. It was such a great match. It was solid from bell to bell. If I was giving it a star rating, I would give it 6 stars. And I know it didn't take place in the Tokyo Dome, but it was that good. I absolutely loved it. It was match of the year. And both of these guys already put on a great match a year ago. And, I thought it was going to be very difficult and very hard for them to bump it up a notch, but they were able to do it. They were able to knock it out even more. So that was absolutely amazing. Both those guys were really going back and forth. So Props to both guys. I really am excited to see what they're going to do with Walter now. I wouldn't be fully shocked if they pushed him on up to the main roster, let him show up on Raw or SmackDown. But to me, his bread and butter right now would be in NXT, especially after what happened in the main event. Him facing the NXT champion would be a great match. It would be a lot of fun. And there's a lot of interesting feuds. You could bring back Walter versus Pete Dunne. You could bring back Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa again. We could finally get that Walter versus Finn Balor championship match, or Walter versus Finn Balor match that we didn't get to get because of the pandemic. There's a lot of great opportunities for Walter to really shine and elevate himself even more. As I'm sure he'll be heading to the main roster here very very soon as well. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with him. I think this is really going to put NXT UK back on the map in some ways because now the landscape is so different without the big, massive Walter being the champion, kind of holding it hostage. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they do now with them. And see what they do now with that company. So it would have been very difficult for any other match to take place right after that match of the year candidate between Dragunov and Walter. But Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly were actually put in this spot next. Personally, I was thinking this would more than likely be the main event of the evening, but instead that went to Joe and Cross. So this match came up next. It was 2 out of 3 falls. The first fall being a traditional match, the second fall being a street fight, and the last fall being a steel cage match. And to kind of get this off, kind of go ahead and share this now. To me, this match was kind of underwhelming. It may have been the spot that it was put in. Personally, I think this would have been a great match to start the show off if it wasn't going to main event. Have these two kind of go at it really for 45 minutes to start off the show. I think that would have been great. Or just have it as the main event, put Joe and Cross on first and put, the women's match or the $1 million match here. But to me, this match was very kind of underwhelming, especially for it being the last match in the feud between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. Two guys that were very loved when they were a part of Undisputed Era. Adam Cole is probably the greatest NXT superstar of all time. I'm fine with going on record to say that. If you want to send your hate stuff, you know where to send it. I'll go ahead and do the Chris Belcher special and flash up my social media right here. If you have a problem with that, you can tweet me there. But I really think that he is probably the greatest NXT superstar of all time. And so kind of coming from two guys that know each other really well and are best friends outside the ring and have normally really good chemistry. They have a lot of really great Ring of Honor matches that you can go back and check. And so I was expecting this match to really kind of bring home the feud and take it over even more and make it something really special. And to me, it didn't really happen. I'm not taking away from the match. The match was solid. It was a strong match, but it wasn't exactly what I was thinking it was going to be. It was kind of underwhelming. So kind of running through how this match took off. Obviously, the first fall was a traditional wrestling match. Kyle O'Reilly took a nasty bump off the top rope that really sold into the rest of the match. Going rib first onto the bar that holds up the turnbuckle. He went rib first. I think it was exposed too. So he went rib first, kind of flipped over and hit his side again on the ring apron before hitting the floor. And so Adam Cole kind of targeted that all night. Adam Cole set up to hit the Panama Sunrise on Kyle O'Reilly, but when he flipped over, Kyle O'Reilly really turned it into a roll up predicament, pinned Adam Cole 1, 2, 3 to pick up the first win, kind of out of nowhere. It was the traditional match went by really quick. A lot quicker than I thought, which isn't bad. I mean, surprise roll up on a traditional match and a 2 out of 3 falls was probably a good call, especially for Kyle O'Reilly to get it. So that was very interesting to me. It was a kind of a fun way to start off the match because now Adam Cole is really ticked off and ready to go and fight even harder now, especially in the street fight. The street fight portion was probably the best portion for me. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great weapon moments, a lot of kendo sticks being used. Kyle O'Reilly set Adam Cole in a chair, put a trash can over his head, and hit like a running drop kick off of the ring apron onto the floor, which was it sounded like a really nasty bump and it looked really rough. Both guys get in the ring, they're kind of going back and forth. Adam Cole is really attacking that rib. They're fighting on the ramp area that's elevated. Kyle O'Reilly pushes Adam Cole into the barrier, the plexiglass, and he kind of sold that it was messing with his arm, or I think it was his arm because he went to brace himself. It was messing with his arm, so he was kind of trying to crawl away, rolled back into the ring. They kind of go back at it again. Adam Cole picks up the upper hand. Both guys or Adam Cole takes a chair, sets it up straight, gets another chair and puts them back to back in the same spot that he did with Aleister Black a few years ago, NXT TakeOver, with the two back ends of the chair back to back. So it's this nasty like point where the two chairs meet. Um, Adam Cole was going to go hit a suplex on it. Kyle O'Reilly threw it. Kyle O'Reilly blocked it. Put Adam Cole's face on it, and I think he was going to go to the top rope and jump off to do a leg drop on it. And Adam Cole was able to recover quickly, grab Kyle O'Reilly, and flip him up and over for him to go through the chairs in an absolutely nasty bump, which set up Adam Cole hitting the last shot to pick up the second fall. So the first fall went to Kyle O'Reilly in the traditional match. The second fall went to Adam Cole in the street fight, which led us to the final match, which was the steel cage. And as the cage is being lowered down to the ring, Adam Cole actually attacks Kyle O'Reilly before the cage is actually down. It's probably like halfway down the ring. And he rolls Kyle O'Reilly out of the ring, hits him with a power bomb onto the announce table, doesn't break it, but his rib kind of hit first, so he's selling that rib even more. They roll back into the ring. He rolls back out, grabs Kyle O'Reilly, throws him in the ring. The referee starts the match, and it's kind of just Adam Cole beating up Kyle O'Reilly for most of this portion, the steel cage match. So much so that I don't remember Kyle O'Reilly really getting any offense in until the end of the match. He kind of beats up Adam Cole a little bit. I'm sorry, he does get some offense because he traps Cole in between the rope and the steel cage and runs back and forth and just hits forearm smashes into the steel cage on Adam Cole for 3 or 4 times. They kind of get back, they go back and forth a little bit. Adam Cole finally is able to pick up the upper hand and handcuffs Kyle O'Reilly to the rope. And so Kyle O'Reilly's kind of just standing there, and Adam Cole hits one of the stiffest and nastiest super kicks I think I've seen in a long time on Kyle O'Reilly. Hits a second one on him, goes to hit something else on him when Kyle O'Reilly flips him over into a heel hook, which is they're trying to make Kyle O'Reilly's new finisher. And Adam Cole just taps. I mean, kind of quickly too. So it was a very abrupt finish to this match out of nowhere. I would have loved to see it go on a little bit longer. I would have loved to see more back and forth. I'm not upset with the Kyle O'Reilly win. In fact, I kind of thought this was going to happen. But it was just so random and so quick, and the matches didn't really do anything to get Kyle O'Reilly over here, which I think was the whole purpose of the feud, is to get Kyle O'Reilly over. But the match didn't really do that. I think it kind of just went through the motions, and Adam Cole seemed like he was in charge of it for most of the time after that first fall, and it seemed like it was just kind of a fluke win again for Kyle O'Reilly. So after the match, they're trying to help Adam Cole away. There's a lot of audible boos towards Kyle O'Reilly. A lot of people are thinking that this was Adam Cole's last match in NXT. Quite possibly could be Adam Cole's last match in WWE. As of right now, the report is that he has not signed a contract with WWE, other than the extension that I believe runs out very soon in the next couple of days, if not tonight. So maybe Adam Cole shows up on AEW Dynamite. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he shows up on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. We'll just have to wait and see. But it looks like Adam Cole's time in NXT is more than likely done. And they've tried to set up Kyle O'Reilly as this next big superstar in NXT. So we're going to see how that goes. To me, this match didn't really get Kyle O'Reilly's character over any. It just kind of drug along, and I don't know what it's going to do for him. Obviously, with the audible boos and him not being over with the fans, because he beat Adam Cole in a weird way too. I think it was the finish of the match that really kind of turned people sour on this. So to me, it was a very underwhelming match. Kind of overall, it was an underwhelming feud, especially for Adam Cole's, if it is his final feud in NXT. I would have liked to see something a little bit more grittier and deeper for him. But if that's the end of Adam Cole in NXT, obviously, like I said before, the greatest NXT superstar of all time. I would love to see him do other things. If he goes to the main roster, I hope he does I hope he's in the main event. I hope he's one of the top guys, whichever brand he goes to. If he goes elsewhere, I would love to see him be the top guy there. No matter where he goes, I think he's going to be in the shuffle and in the mix for world titles and big storylines and feuds. So wherever he goes, it's going to be very interesting to see that. It just kind of sucks to see him kind of come to an end as we're doing one of his runs, probably one of his greatest runs, if not his greatest run as a wrestler so far in NXT. So that part's a little sad, but overall, kind of a decent way to go out, obviously, with the career that he's had. And I'm sure we will touch more on that this week on the Thursday edition of the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast. So make sure you tune in and listen to that portion as well. And then we come to the main event of the evening, which was Karrion Kross defending the NXT Championship against a returning Samoa Joe, his first match in NXT since 2017. His first match overall in in 18 months, so dating all the way back into 2020. So that it's been a very long time since we've seen Samoa Joe lace up the boots, put on the red and black shorts again, and come out and wrestle. Overall, it's so great to see him back. We've had a lot of returns in pro wrestling the last 3 days with Punk and Becky and Brock, and now the in ring return of Samoa Joe. So the last 3 days we have been spoiled as wrestling fans, I will say for sure. With these big returns and people coming back, and it's very made pro wrestling very exciting again. So I'm very excited to see what happens with the future of Samoa Joe. But this match overall was basically what I thought it was going to be. Basically, the way you can sum it up is it was two big boys doing what big boys do. It was stiff shots back and forth, trying to put submission moves on each other, trying to hit big moves on each other, trying to end this match pretty quickly. Karrion Kross has gotten a lot of hate over the last few years over the last year, really, of being NXT champion. I think this is probably his best one-on-one NXT championship defense, as far as I can remember. It's one of his better ones. It was either this one or the one with Finn Balor for me. Other than that 5-way match, but I really enjoyed this match through and through. It really did a great job of making Karrion Kross still feel like a big deal, trying to rebuild him after his main roster debacle for the last few weeks. And then bringing back Samoa Joe, putting him right back in the mix, making him feel like $1,000,000 again. I absolutely loved it. I'm so glad that he's back. He looked in great shape. He got a little winded and a little gassed, and he was breathing really hard at the end of this match. I don't know if he actually got hurt, because there's a few times where it looked like he got dropped on his head a few times, and then he went and hit a suicide dive on the outside of the ring where he went like head first there as well. Karrion Kross took a nasty bump on a power slam where it looked like his head kind of just scraped the mat all the way through. It's amazing that he was able to recover from that as well. Nothing too serious, hopefully. But overall, this match was really fun, back and forth. Exactly what it probably should have been. Going both guys really getting a lot of their moves in. How the match ended was a massive surprise. I think everybody was expecting Joe, if he was going to win, to put it in with the Coquina clutch. But instead, Karrion Kross goes to the top rope. Samoa Joe hits an enziguri on him, which knocks him loose, and he goes up and he brings back the Muscle Buster to finish this match. The Muscle Buster is one of my favorite finishers. I hated that they wouldn't let him use it on the main roster. I kind of understand why after the whole Tyson Kidd thing, but I'm so glad that they brought him back because it makes him it's such a move that he can do. And Karrion Kross sold it really well. Samoa Joe hits the Muscle Buster, pins him 1, 2, 3, and Samoa Joe is your new NXT champion, the first ever 3-time NXT champion. Very excited to see what they do with him with the belt. I'm very excited to see what feuds they can go into. I would love to see a Joe versus Balor rematch for the NXT championship. Obviously, Joe versus Walter would be amazing to see those two big guys going back and forth at it. Joe versus Ciampa, Joe versus Gargano. There's so many matches right now in NXT with Samoa Joe that would be top tier matches in the product and top tier matches in the company. They definitely deemed this night as the end of an era, the beginning of a new one, with the Undisputed Era kind of coming to an end, and obviously the Karrion Kross reign coming to an end. So it's going to be different. I think it's going to be the most different NXT era that we're seeing right now, with someone like Samoa Joe coming back, winning the NXT championship, going to be NXT champion for a while. Walter more than likely being on the NXT roster. Adam Cole more than likely being gone from NXT. Possibly Dakota Kai going to the main roster. So this kind of opens up a lot of spots for new people. I hope that they fill it very well. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with NXT, obviously, with a lot of the releases and things that have happened over the last few weeks and months and basically the last 2 years. Kind of seemed like it was putting NXT down a little bit, but after tonight, I think this is a really good jumping off point for NXT, especially with Samoa Joe at the helm. I think he's going to get a lot of people to tune in, especially with a lot of these upcoming and intriguing matches that he could have with some of these guys on the NXT roster. So overall, I'm very, very excited to see what they do. I hope Samoa Joe is okay. I hope that his ring rust kind of he didn't look like he didn't have any ring rust, but some being in ring shape really is what they call it. And so I hope he's able to kind of get back into that, get back to the norm that he was at Not wrestling for 18 months. I don't care how much you train, you're still not going to be used to it until you actually get in there and do it. And so this is a great spot for him to be in. A really great match. Karrion Kross now more than likely just going to stay on the main roster to feud with Jeff Hardy for the next 40 years. And hopefully something really great happens with him. Hopefully they're able to bring Scarlett back with them. I don't exactly know where Scarlett was at tonight. I don't know if they've taken her away or if she wasn't able to be there or if there was some precautions or something else that was hindering her from being there. But I hope that she's okay. I hope that they're able to bring them back together on the main roster. Because with the entrance that he has with Scarlett, I think you could really do something special with Karrion Kross on the main roster if you just let him be him and do his own thing. And so I'm excited for that portion. I hope they let him do that. But like I said, Samoa Joe being back in NXT, being the NXT champion, holding that belt, probably holding that belt for a little while, letting him go through some of these matches that we've always wanted to see. It's going to be a lot of fun. I would love to see him hold that belt until through Survivor Series, especially if we do the triple threat again, the NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown. That would be a lot of fun to see them do that as well. So overall, NXT TakeOver 36, not the greatest TakeOver all time, by no means a bad TakeOver. The Walter Dragunov match really moved it up a lot for me. It was a great match of the year. Cole and O'Reilly was what it was. It was a little underwhelming, but it was still a really strong match. Raquel and Dakota was a really good match. Cameron Grimes and LA Knight was a really good match, and then the main event was solid as well. So a very solid NXT TakeOver. I think it was a nice breath of refreshing. It was very refreshing, I'll say that, to see this after SummerSlam. SummerSlam wasn't bad, but this was definitely a different take on pro wrestling, and so I think that was very nice to see that as well. But make sure you let us know what you thought about NXT TakeOver 36. Leave a comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure you tweet us at Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, PBW Podcast. Tweet us what your thoughts on NXT TakeOver 36. You can tweet me as well at The Shandy Show what you thought of NXT TakeOver as well. Tell me that I'm wrong for thinking some of these things that I said. I'm totally fine with that. But we appreciate you tuning in and listening. Make sure that you go listen to us on sportswire.com, where you can listen to us every single day. New episodes drop every Monday and Thursday, so go check us out there. Make sure you go to prowrestlingtees.com. They finally got their website back up after CM Punk broke it. I spent 2.5 hours. Actually, I spent a day and a half trying to buy the CM Punk shirt. I finally got it, but it took a long time. But go to prowrestlingtees.com. You can look up the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, and you can find some of our T-shirt designs there, so go buy you one for sure. But once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. For Chris and Jared, who couldn't be here with me, I'm Andy York. Thank you so much for thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.